This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. Kevin Stefanski is a better head coach than Bill Belichick in Cleveland. And the reason I want to phrase this video's topic in this way and talk about this video's topic in this way is to have a larger conversation about what head coaches do that are still currently active in the NFL in their first 4 years, and where exactly does Kevin Stefanski sit on that list? Now, right now, with one game left to go in the regular season, Kevin Stefanski's regular season record as a head coach for the Cleveland Browns in his first 4 seasons is 37-28 with a .561 win percentage. Now, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 other NFL coaches who are active that have 4 or more years of head coaching experience. And I decided to go and chart it all out and look at which coaches have worse win percentages right now than Kevin Stefanski had in his first 4 years. Well, who have worse win percentages in their first 4 years than Kevin Stefanski had in his first 4 years, and who has better win percentages. So for starting in worse, in no particular order, we're going to start with guys like Bill Belichick, for example. Bill Belichick took over a 3-13 Cleveland Browns team and had a record in 4 years of 29-35. That's a .453 win percentage. Oh no, 484 win percentage. He got fired after that. Another guy who was surprisingly below Kevin Stefanski, given the injuries, it's not that surprising that he dealt with in his first few years. Kyle Shanahan, who has a record of 29-35 in his first 4 years with a .453 win percentage, took over a 2-14 49ers team. I think a lot of people forget how awful the 49ers were when Kyle Shanahan took over. They were recovering from just a disastrous era of 49ers football, Chip Kelly, all of that. And Kyle has brought them out of that. Another guy who's below Kevin Stefanski is Zach Taylor, 28-36 in his first 4 years as a head coach with a .437 win percentage, took over a 6-10 Cincinnati Bengals team. Is another coach who is below Kevin Stefanski in win percentage is Dan Campbell, who has a 28-33 record overall as a coach in his first 4 years with a .460 win percentage in those years. Remember, he was an interim coach in Miami before he was a head coach in Detroit. Another coach who was below Kevin in his first 4 years, Pete Carroll, who was 33-31 with the .515 win percentage, took over an 8-8 Jets team. This is way back in the 90s. We're talking about with Pete Carroll's first 4 years. And Todd Bowles, who's still an active coach, 24-40, 3.375 win percentage in New York. And then he took over a 4-12 New York team. Ron Rivera, 32-31 with a .500 win percentage. 32-31-1 is Ron Rivera, by the way. He had a tie game in there as well. And he took over a 2-14 team. And then you have a lot of guys who kind of sit in this same area as Kevin Stefanski, right? Kevin Stefanski has a chance to get his 38th win as a head coach of the Cleveland Browns in his first 4 years. This Sunday, if he gets that, he will be tied with Doug Peterson, who was 38-26, Sean Payton, who was 38-26, Mike McCarthy, who's 38-26, and Andy Reid, who's above him, right? And we're going to start talking about the coaches above him, but that's where That's where Kevin Stefanski's at. So you look at that list and you notice that Kevin Stefanski is above most of the guys on that list and is kind of on the same tier as the Doug Petersons, the Sean Paytons, the Mike McCarthys, all of these guys in terms of starts, right? He's had a good start like those guys. Now, who are the guys who started off better than Kevin Stefanski? Andy Reid won 39 games in his first 4 seasons. It's also worth noting, had 2 less games than Kevin. Kevin started in 2020, and I believe in 2021 they started the 17 game season. So either 2 or 3 more games, but 39 wins for Andy Reid, which is a .619 win percentage. Took over a 3-13 team, and then you have the guys who really blew it up. Mike Vrabel had 41 wins in his first 4 years. Then you have Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, each at 43 and 44 apiece, which is really, really good. Matt LaFleur is surprisingly, for a guy who doesn't get talked about that much, the highest. I think Mike Vrabel's at 41. Matt LaFleur is at 47 wins in his first 4 seasons, which is one of the best to do that. Obviously, he inherited a team with the franchise quarterback and Aaron Rodgers, who went to back-to-back MVPs in that run. So little bit of an easier run than what Kevin's had. But that's where Kevin Stefanski sits. Look, he's not amongst one of the hottest young coaches in the NFL or with the hottest starts in the NFL, but he's right there with guys who have been around for a very long time, right? Above Kyle Shanahan, above Zach Taylor, above Bill Belichick, and he's right there with the Sean Paytons, the Doug Petersons of the world, right? Not that far off from Mike Tomlin. You imagine if he took a job with the organization that was a little bit more complete at the time, he might be there, right? If we had a franchise quarterback in place or something similar along those lines. So that's where Kevin Stefanski sits, and it's kind of surprising to see him sit that high, given how controversial it feels like Kevin Stefanski's run here in Cleveland has felt. And I also want to point out, when you look at these guys who are kind of on Kevin's level here, right? Sean Payton's the one parallel. Like, you look at Sean Payton, you go, that's the parallel for Kevin, right? Is Sean Payton. Because Sean Payton's first 3 years, they didn't have a quarterback, and then they got Drew Brees, and things changed for them rapidly. And that's kind of what's going on with Kevin. Obviously, the quarterback question is a little bit more up in the air than it was for Drew Brees the year they won the Super Bowl, right? But you look at like Doug Peterson, he started with Carson Wentz when Carson Wentz was still good. So he was able to carry a lot of that over. I think there's a lot of similarities between Kevin and Doug Peterson in this one. Sean McDermott, I think there are some similarities there because he didn't inherit Josh Allen. I believe he got Josh Allen a year or two. No, never mind. He inherited Josh Allen because he took the job in 2019. So, Sean McDermott already had a franchise quarterback, so he was able to get to that total. Guys like Mike Vrabel kind of inherited good organizations. When Mike Vrabel took over the Titans, they had just gone 9-7, so it's not like he got a bad team that he took over. He kind of just inherited a good team and kept them good for a relatively decent amount of time with the same quarterback that they had. Kevin's done this with having multiple quarterback changes, which if you look here, there's not a ton of guys who have had to change the quarterback as much as Kevin Stefanski has had to in their first 4 years and still stayed on the positive side of this list. So I say all this to say, I put all these numbers out there to say that Kevin Stefanski is a pretty damn good head coach. No matter how you flip his numbers, no matter how you flip his win-loss record, total, all of this stuff. And one of the things I do want to make sure I make clear, I don't think Kevin Stefanski is a good head coach just because he's one of the best head coaches the Browns have ever had. I see a lot of people using that reasoning, and I think it's flawed because, if you say that, you're basically saying, yeah, but he's better than Butch Davis, and that's not a good reason to keep a coach. But if you look at Kevin Stefanski, you can easily say He's one of, like, if you look at all the head coaches, you look at what all these head coaches who have been around for a while have done in their first 4 years, he's in the upper echelon of those coaches. He's a good head coach compared to other head coaches, compared to other organizations, compared to other situations. You compare him to Bill Belichick. You can compare him to even Andy Reid's first 4 years. You can compare him to Sean McVay. You can compare him to Pete Carroll. You can compare him to Dan Campbell. You can compare him to Mike McCarthy. You can compare him to Sean Payton, Doug Peterson. All of these guys, the numbers are similar. The job is similar. And you can make the argument the job is even more impressive in Cleveland because he hasn't had the stability at the quarterback position a lot of these other guys who inherited their jobs did get off rip. So that's my thing with Kevin Stefanski. I think if you're on this never Stefanski train, this is a good time to jump off. And, you know, now that we know all of this, I would love if we could go like 2 plays where he does a play call you don't like without like suggesting he gets fired. You know what I mean? But that's what I think about Kevin. I think he's done a great job, and I think you compare it to other coaches who have done it and see that he's in that realm of coaches where you obviously want to keep. But that's my thoughts on Kevin. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.